Welcome to The Wise View. Use our IQ to give you our point of view. Some things we thought you knew, other things you believed in and found out it wasn't true. So me and my crew make it do what it do. We came to chop up game with y'all for a few. So take heed and get a clue and check us out. The Wise View. The Wise View. The Wise View. The Wise View.
Anytime the black man attempts to change the slave image, he will scare white people.
It is going to come. The question is, will it take the form of the righteous indignation tied to love and justice, or will it take the form of raw rage tied to revenge and bigotry?
Black man should control the politics of his own community and control the politicians who are in his own community.
God is going to punish you if you don't stand up for what is right.
You're an 8- and 9-year-old child going back and forth to school, and you're having rocks thrown at you, you're having bottles thrown at you, you're being chased with hockey sticks by white children, by white teens, by white adults. Then you have white police officers who are just constantly on your neck. When you're on the bus going back and forth to school, you have whites who are attacking the buses, turning them over, crashing the windows, coming on the bus and just stomping people. If you haven't had those kind of experiences, you can't talk to me. But having had those experiences, I don't hate anyone. I hate wrong. And this is where our confusion keeps coming in. Because wrong is wrong. No matter which way you look at it, it's wrong. Period. So if you're going and you're posting statements about police lives matter, well, policemen are human beings, first and foremost. We're all capable of doing wrong. The issue is, for those who do wrong, nothing is done about it when it comes to blacks. But you don't want to see that. Only thing you can see is blacks against whites. And that's how small-minded you are. So I'm talking to you small-minded people. Shut up. This has been passed on from generation to generation to generation to generation. This has been passed on. So this will never die, because it is ingrained within the fabric of America. And nobody wants to have that discussion. And we don't want to have that discussion because when we begin to talk about race relations in America, people get offended, easily offended. It's a very sensitive issue. Let's call it what it is. It's very sensitive when you talk to your own white friends about race relations in America. But let's give some facts here. Because many things that our white counterparts are telling us, many things that our white friends are telling us, many that our white family members, let me make sure I also state that too, because we have white family members too in our black families. Again, the fabric of America. But many of the things that are discussed are actually on point. They're actually on point. Injustices exist. Yes, we know there's an imbalance. We know that. But let's look at some other facts. We are, in fact, afforded opportunity. What we do with the opportunity is entirely up to us. It's entirely up to us. Our workplace conduct, our workplace integrity, right? Those things are important, right? Our behavior in school is important. Have you ever been to any Philadelphia schools? I have. I've been to elementary schools, I've been to middle schools, I've been to high schools. I've been in colleges and universities. Behavior that I see in there is not appropriate. is totally inappropriate. The language that I hear is totally inappropriate. On the bus, the behavior is totally inappropriate. But these are only reflections of not racist America, but of our own culture. The very things that whites say to us about making sure your children are being supervised, making sure you are educating your children, making sure you are being responsible for your child, making sure you are taking responsibility for your own negative behavior that influences the child. The same influence that I have as a black male to my children is the same influence that a white father has to his children. So why do our children come away from that which we give them with a different behavior? Are we not teaching our children hate as well? I mean, help me out here. Help me out here. Because I've been exposed to hate from whites on many different levels. But yet I don't hate anyone. Yet I don't walk around and conduct myself in a manner of being biased towards anyone. Yes, I, like anyone else, can sense when someone is acting in a prejudicial manner towards me, and no, I don't like it. But that's that individual. That's not a group of people. That's not a group of people. That's that particular individual who ascribes to those teachings, who ascribes to that thinking. I can't hold everybody else accountable to it. Doesn't make sense. When whites do that towards us, we're offended. We're offended that we're included in one group. But then we defend the entire group when it comes to injustices put upon us. Now, regardless of anything that this black individual did, regardless of whether they were right, regardless of whether they were wrong, we still support, we still come out, and we still gather up and unify to address the injustice. But we didn't address, and this happens in some cases because this is not relevant to all cases, but we didn't address the fact that some of these individuals who we're talking about in the news, who have been subjected to the injustice, they themselves were being unjust in their character. We don't speak to that. See, this is where we're not taking responsibility, because we're looking at certain individuals who are out there living criminal lifestyles, who are out there wreaking havoc in your very community. In your very community. They're out in front of your house selling drugs. They're out in front of your house using drugs. They're out in front of your house with lewd and disrespectful behavior. And you're not doing anything about it. And then when an incident comes along when they are killed because they are unarmed, now it's wrong. Yes, it is wrong. No doubt in my mind that it's wrong. No doubt in my mind that it's unjust to kill an unarmed man, especially with all the training that law enforcement has. But this is not about law enforcement. This is about self-enforcement. This is about me taking responsibility to ensure that my community is safe. We have ascribed to a mindset of criminality. It's not about me wanting to live in the hood. Why should I have to live in the hood? Why should I have to be subjected to, somebody throwing rocks through my window, coming through my window, sitting on my step, blowing some splits? Why should I have to be subjected to that? Why? Oh, so I'm selling out because I don't want to be subjected to that? That's stupid. And for those of you who make such comments about, oh, you done came up out of the hood, so you think you're better than, you're stupid. You're stupid for making a statement. You're stupid for calling your neighborhood the hood and acting like a nut. You're stupid for sitting on somebody's step and disrespecting them by smoking that stuff. You're stupid because you don't want to do anything else with your life but sit around and do that. Now, I said it. I said it. Am I racist? Or am I a realist? You want to avoid your own reality, that's entirely up to you. But when you start sitting around disrespecting your own damn community, how dare you want to run out there and protest about what others are doing to us when you're doing worse than they are? How dare you? You're pathetic. You're weak. You're a straight chump. Because you're not doing anything to improve your community, but you want to be the first one in the line talking about, I can't breathe. But you stopping your own brother from breathing on a daily basis by killing him, by disrespecting him, by disrespecting his children. Yeah, I said it, because that's exactly what you're doing. I'm not going to waste time, energy, and effort into addressing the conflicts that racists and bigots choose to spew from their mouths in public media and any other capacity, because I don't give a damn about them. God will take care of them. Their punishment will come. Just like my punishment will come when it's my turn. But how long do I burn in hell? I'm making an effort to be a good servant. I'm making an effort to make a change in my community. When you do nothing but sit around and bring down everything and everybody around you, you burn real long, man. You know what it feels like to have your flesh burning? Huh? It burns all the way to the bone. You know what it feels like? But then to have that repeatedly happen, your flesh just burns down to the bone. And then it replenishes, then it burns down to the bone. And then it replenishes, then it burns down to the bone. That's what punishment those kind of people have, because they're full of hate. And many of these people profess to love God. Many of these people profess to be good Christians, to be good Catholics, to be good Muslims, to be good Jews, to be good this, to be good that. What's good in that conduct? What? Where did any of the prophets display any kind of behavior such as that? What would Jesus do? What would Muhammad do? What would Moses do in situations such as this? Think about it. Oh, it don't even come to mind when you're acting like you're acting with this foolery. Doesn't even come to mind. And you go and you bow down before God and ask for forgiveness? Is that what you do? You raise your right hand and put your hand on a Bible and swear that you will protect? Swear that you would tell the truth? Swear to love, honor, and obey? You take your shahada and you bear witness that there's but one God? Yet you serve man in your conduct? I'm confused. Look, I'm not confused about me. I'm confused about you. I'm confused about you, black man. Because you're the one who is sitting around blaming others for your ill condition, when there are many things that you could do to better yourself as a person. We don't look at how we talk to our children. We don't look at how we talk to one another. in our own families, if you can't respect your own blood, how can you possibly respect someone outside of your family? And how can they possibly respect you? Think about it. Look around you. Look at everything that has failed to happen for us as a people in the black community. And ask yourself why. We don't never want to go to that. We want to always avoid that. And that's what it's by design, for us to avoid taking responsibility for our own actions. We keep being distracted. We keep being distracted. Ferguson is nothing new. Ferguson incidents have happened. We've seen that throughout decades. But why is it being sensationalized on the news now? Why now? Another diversionary tactic, another divisive tactic to continue to instill fear and hate in us as a people. I've experienced the hate. I haven't gone anywhere. I haven't fallen to the wayside. I've experienced substance use and abuse. I've experienced a lifestyle of criminality. I've experienced those things. I made a conscious decision to stop. Like I made a conscious decision to delve into that lifestyle, I made a conscious decision enough was enough. And it's been over 20 years. So this is not a judgment call. This is an observation. It's an observation. Just like others observe us. It's not a judgment call. It's easy to see. What does turning over a police car solve? That car did absolutely nothing to you. What is turning over? That's your tax money you just destroyed. Your tax money is going to buy a new car. What does burning down the store resolve? Nothing. When you get up tomorrow morning to go get your child a can of milk, when you get up in the morning to go get your wife, right? You know, some lotion and products and stuff that she may need, you'll go to that store and you'll stand in front of that store and say, damn, the store is gone. The store is gone. The police car is still sitting in the middle of the street. Traffic has to now travel up one lane. You now have to walk further to go to another store that you're going to walk to further away, which you're going to be watched because you might steal something, or you might be coming in here to rob us. These are, see, it's the behaviors of the few that are influencing the thinking of many. Therefore, until we extinguish that element in our community, we will continue to be seen in the manner that we are. Period. You're not addressing that behavior on your block. You're not addressing it. That behavior on your block spreads over to the next block. It influences the thinking of others because there are other like-minded individuals that live the next block over. There are like-minded individuals that live another county over. And you start getting all these like-minded people together and it begins to spread. It's a damn disease. It's by design. Now, until we rid our communities of this disease, of these thugs, thugettes, we're going to continue to have the same dilemma. See? Because we have to show that we respect where we live first. We're destroying our community because we're protesting hate. We're protesting injustice. How just are you treating your own community when you burn it down? How just? That's your community. You live there. And now you're wondering why your community here in America looks like some war-torn country. Whites didn't do that. Blacks did that. And we wonder why when blacks enter into non-black communities, be they white, predominantly Mexican, Asian, whatever they are, we wonder why people get up in arms when we move into their areas that are predominantly their areas, or that are dominantly their areas, because we have demonstrated as a people that we tear stuff up. We tear stuff up. We don't respect the community. We drive through the community. Small blocks. You're driving through the block with this. You got a 20 speaker system with 4 amps in your trunk, and you're rattling everybody's house, and you don't have enough respect to turn it down while you're on the block. That's fine when you're driving up Broad Street, when you're driving up the highway. That's fine. But why are you going to sit? Listen, I had a dude that was visiting a neighbor that lived across the street. Now I lived on a small block. This dude comes up in an SUV. It's got to be 2, 3 o'clock in the morning during the weekday. And regardless of whether it's weekday or not, but it was on the weekday. I mean, 3 o'clock in the morning. We're trying to get sleep. And I'm looking outside, I'm saying, okay, maybe he dropped somebody off, maybe he's going to go. No, no, he wasn't dropping somebody. He was standing on the step talking to my neighbor. Having a conversation. A loud conversation. Now, I'm not a confrontational kind of person when it comes to, like being aggressive. I'll talk to you. Yo, we can't do this. This is not going to be a good outcome. It went on and on and on and on. 3 minutes. I got up. I went to the door. And I'm doing a step, like, and I had my rifle in hand, because, listen, if you are that disrespectful, there's no telling what you're going to come at me with if I'm challenging you on this behavior. I'm standing on the step, rifle in hand. Excuse me, loudly. The neighbor heard me, and like, I did like this, and most like, well, I still had rifle in hand, and she told him, obviously, yo, you need to. So I was heated. I'm still standing on step. I watched him go and, reach into the truck and turn it down, and he goes back up, finished talking, and never even look at me, never even turn around, so my bad, nothing. Total disregard, total disrespect. And you think I didn't want to knock him upside his head? Absolutely I did. Absolutely, because it's disrespectful, man. It's disrespectful. And no, I'm not a tough guy. I don't profess to be a tough guy. But I don't have no problem with a confrontation either, if that's what it comes down to. But that's not my thinking anymore. I live that lifestyle. So when that lifestyle comes at me, I can handle it. Whatever it's going to be, dude, it's going to be. But the reality of it is, you're wrong. You're wrong. I wouldn't drive through your block 3 o'clock in the morning, park, and have a conversation with somebody, knowing that you and your family in the bed sleep. And if you and your family sitting in the house chilling, that's disrespectful. Period. Now, if you can't ride with that and you need to take it to another level, I'm okay with that too. But I'm at least tell you that. Yo, and if you riding with my man, you need to tell my man, yo, listen, dude, turn that down, because that ain't cool. We don't even check. We think it's cute. We think it's hip. We think it's fly. Until we find ourselves in a condition with a toe tag on, and then you can't explain to your family how come that happened. Now you want to retaliate against the doer of the harm upon that person, but you won't even check yourself for the wrongdoing that you had, because you know what? If you didn't have your music blasting like that, nobody would have to come out and say something to you, and we wouldn't have this incident at all in our community. In our community. So we're not even taking personal responsibility. We're not. We have all these incidents that are in the news, and we're finding out bad behavior about different people. You know, the whole Bill Cosby thing that blew up, and, you know, people making, you know, their remarks about Cosby. But Cosby ain't beyond nobody. Cosby allegedly made comments himself about his own people. Negative. Allegedly made negative comments about Muslims. I don't hate him. But in time, whatever you do, you gotta pay. You gotta pay. It comes around eventually. Who am I? Nobody has the right to take anybody's life. Anybody's life. You don't have that right. Whether you're law enforcement or not, you don't have that right. Man gave himself the right to take life, and he doesn't have that right. And he gave himself the right to take life with his hand on the Bible. How do you do that? Because you have your own agenda. You have your own agenda. There are good people and there are bad people. Period. And Mr. Bigot, when you do things that include language from a cause, and you flip it around and you use it for your own appeasement, because that's what you're doing. For these officers and for these individuals who have chosen to all of a sudden give these rallies in support of police, you could simply put up, we support our police. Just like we support our troops, we support our police. I support our police. I don't support wrong. I don't support hate. I don't support racism. I don't support injustices. I don't support that. I don't support that. And every group that has come forth with these protests, support rallies, you're actually doing it in an untimely way. There's nothing wrong with being supportive of your troops. Nothing. There's nothing wrong with being supportive of your police. Nothing. But why now? Why now? See, you got to pay attention to what's happening here. There's a reason for all of this. It's showing you how divided we really are. The true color of America is showing. It's showing. Can't put it to you no other way. These are facts. You want to come with an argument? Come with an argument. Listen, every group that has been challenged as to why the protest has said the same exact thing. Even the restaurant owner who had it up on his marquee, I can breathe, justified his actions by saying it was just merely something done in support of our police. Nowhere in any of the protests did it say that anyone hated police. Nowhere. And even if that would have been the case, for you to turn around and put something up that used language that was similar to that which is being used in an unjust protest, peaceful protest, mind you. You just showed where you stood, because you showed your insensitivity to the injustice put upon blacks. Because that's the issue. The issue is unjust. It has nothing to do with law enforcement, because it goes beyond law enforcement. It goes to the courts, because the courts don't do anything about it. It goes to judges, because judges don't do anything about it. It goes to our politicians on every level, because they don't do anything about it. This is not about the police. This is about policing our government, policing our systems. That's what this is about. You've made it, Mr. Bigot, about the police, and it's not. Which goes back to my thoughts on the whole incident itself. Why now? Why now? Why would something like this happen now? And then people want to blame the mayor. They want to blame the attorney general. They want to blame others for fueling something that has been in existence. Has been in existence. As far back as I can remember. Has been in existence. Because white cops were stomping, killing, harming black males right in front of my eyes as a child in South Philadelphia. In Wilson Park Project. I saw it firsthand during the Rizzo administration. It was prevalent in the black community. So you need to start asking yourself this. We need to stop having a knee-jerk reaction to what's happening and really look at what's happening here. We don't even have to respond to any of this stuff. But it's what makes the news. It makes the news. Because the news, well, the media will turn around and say, well, we should be showing two sides of the story. No. You're not showing two sides of the story. You're showing one side because you're one-dimensional and you have one agenda. To keep the divide alive. Period. And Mr. Bigot is making use of the media by putting us against them. It's never been us against anyone. It's always been them against us. Think about it. It's always been the bigots against us. When we lived in homes in the South, it was them who came and burnt us out of our homes. Yeah. It was them, that group. Those haters. Those bigots. Them. It was them. It was them who found that in Africa, leaders were willing to trade because they were already enslaving their own people. It was them who purchased those slaves from us. They didn't take us from Africa. They purchased us and brought us here. It was them who enslaved us here in America. Them. Who is the them? Was it my white friend? No. No. My white friends had nothing to do with that. Why would I be sitting down talking to them about what they did? They didn't do anything. That's how stupid you sound, Mr. Bigot. By generalizing your comments towards all blacks. That's what you sound like. You sound stupid. I think you're funny. I really do. Because you try to make sense out of nonsense. That's what you do best. Now, flipping back over to responsible living, let's talk about Monroeville Mall. You saw the footage. I'm sure you did. It's all over Facebook. It's everywhere. Who was involved in that melee? Wasn't white folks. Wasn't white children. It was our children. Our children. It's an embarrassment for me as a black man. It's an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment. It's a joke to Mr. Bigot and those thinkers. It's a joke. It's funny. Look at these niggas. Oh, that's not just what whites said. That's what we say. That's what we say. but will get mad if whites say it. But you said the same exact thing. You said the same exact thing when you looked at the news and you saw it, video footage. You said the same thing. But those are our kids. We don't have neighbors anymore. So when a knock comes, nobody's home. And now the knocks don't come anymore. It's no more knock, knock, can I talk to you for a minute? Because now it's knock, knock, and there's nobody home. Or it's knock, knock, well, you need to get away from my door. But then the other knock comes. When it's the police who takes off his cap and holds it in his hand and asks you, are you? And you say yes. What's wrong? We need you to come with us. That's unthinkable. And then it becomes unforgivable. But then when you look at all the while, you saw the signs, you saw everything, and you did nothing about it. And you said, I can't help my son. I'm doing my best. His father is not here. But how much effort did you put into ensuring that his father was there? You put every effort into getting with his father, to being with his father. You put every effort into sleeping with his father, or her father. But how much effort was put into healing the relationship so that your child, our child, benefits? Huh? And I could say the same to the mother of one of my daughters. Made every effort to see me. Made every effort to be with me. Made every effort to talk to me every night when I was away. Made every effort to have dialogue with me until I came home. And when I came home, everything changed. I didn't change. I was who I was then. I've changed now. But I hadn't changed while I was away. But I take ownership for my own actions, mind you. No problem with that. I take ownership because of my own conduct, my own failure to be more assertive, my own failure to be involved, in positive things. I took another route and wanted to abuse drugs and alcohol and just live a different lifestyle. I take full responsibility for that. But I do know that on her side, that she failed to do some things that would have very well helped the situation. Are you willing to take a look yourself and see how you have failed that situation? Because to sit back and to be angry and to be bitter at a society which means none of us any good, be you black, white, Latino, Asian, whatever. We live in a world, man, it's dangerous. It's full of hate. But until you begin to sit back and look at what responsibility you failed to take, if that be the case with your child, if that child is still here, do something now. Pick up the phone, call the father, call the mother, establish a relationship. I need you and I need you now. Come get our child. And I don't mean take the child from this house. I mean come save our child. Save your child. Especially if that child is a son. Because when you save your son, you save my daughter. Because your son in his condition will impact my daughter if they meet, if they connect. It's like the hip bone connected to the thigh bone connected to the knee bone, and so on and so forth. Every one of us is connected. What you don't fix will foul up my family. So I'm not wasting time talking about the hate that goes on from others upon us. When the knock comes, are you going to be available? That's the question. So when I go knock knock, I want to hear who's there. Peace. You know, no matter where you go, there's always a code that is called for emergency conditions. When I thought of it, the term code black, the first thing I thought of were emergency conditions, conditions that should create a sense of urgency. This book, Code Black, took on a life of its own. There was another title that I had given it, and as I began to write and begin to do more research and to begin to go through the material that I had gathered throughout the years, working with fathers, specifically black fathers who were coming, transitioning from state correctional institutions, going back home to their families. I started really delving more into the condition of a people and looking at all the contributors to the destruction of the black family. The black family has had many hands in it, which is a great part of the problem. Because it has had so many hands in it, we as a people have become dependent upon those hands to save us, to bring us forth out of the conditions of being oppressed. And at this point, it is not the responsibility of any of those hands to pull us up out of our conditions except our own. When we go back and we look at the conditions of slavery, when we look at what it is that we as a people were subjected to, not just the conditions that we lived in, the little huts and how we were packed, you know, on top of each other literally, the conditions where we had our children ripped from our arms, taken somewhere else to work for someone else to pay off a debt. When we look at how we watched our women right before our very eyes being raped, when we look at conditions where we had to be out in fields and work from sun up to sundown, and when we look at what we were fed in terms of not just nutritionally, but what we were fed socially, what we were fed mentally, when we look at those conditions and we look at those conditions being passed on from generation to generation, even after being free, we still have the residue of those conditions. At 52 years old, there were conditions that happened to me as a child that still I bear the residue of. So what makes you think that the trauma of enslavement, of the trauma of poverty, the trauma of oppression, the trauma of racism, the trauma of abuse, the trauma of deprivation, that those things have gone away, that those things were not passed on from their parents to our parents, from our parents to us, and from us to our children. I have been damaged, seriously damaged, severely damaged by historic events that took place before I was born. I have been severely damaged by historical events that took place while my mother carried me in her womb because of her environment. I've been severely damaged by things, historic things that took place during the course of my lifetime. And there were many hands. There were many hands in those historical events. When we look at how so many of our social systems have divided and continue to divide our family, especially the black family, it's a methodical disassembling of the black family. When we had the man out of the house rule that came up in the 60s, that removed benefits from the mother of a child who had a man living with her. You remember the days when a social worker would come, and as soon as the social worker get there, everybody be scurrying around and making sure there's no evidence that there's a man living in that house. You remember those days, don't you? And we still have that happen today when we have a child and a mother who are receiving benefits, but because a man is there adding into that income, a supplemental income is what it is, but that supplemental income can't exist because that's not what the system wants to have happen. My grandson is in trouble. His mother called me the other day and said that, that he's selling drugs, that he's using drugs, and that she went to the system to get help. And the system told her that because he's not missing school, because he's not been locked up or anything like that, there's nothing that they can do for her. So in other words, wait until he goes to get locked up. Wait until he starts messing up in school. Then we can do something to help your son. That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? It's not a welfare system, it's a farewell system. Over 30,000 kicked off of welfare benefits. How else do you think that these folks are going to survive? How else? They survive because now they have to go resort to crime. So now they knock you upside the head. Now they jump over bank counters. Now they run into 7-Elevens and steal a little money that's in that drawer just to be able to pay a bill for this month. I grew up in South Philadelphia in the 60s during the Rizzo administration. We were taunted, provoked, intimidated by white officers on a daily basis. I was chased by white children, white teens, white adults, going back and forth to elementary school, had rocks thrown at me, chased with hockey sticks and bottles thrown at me, going to elementary school. I was hated by whites because of my color, and I was hated by blacks because of my color. The light-skinned, dark-skinned conflicts. Crazy. I fought this one guy every day, every single day. He was dark and I was light-skinned, and he just wanted to fight me every single day. Every day. Every day I had to meet him at the bridge right after school. That's where it was. Either I was going to fight him or I was going to get my behind beat. Yes, I understand that there are things that have been put upon us, that continue to be put upon us as a people, that deprive us of certain liberties. I got that. But when you drive around every other community, take a look, make a comparison. Why does the black community always have to look so poor? People don't want to even come out and say good morning, good evening, good afternoon. People don't want to come out on Saturday mornings to move their cars so the block can be cleaned. Even if you don't want to get your behind up, you can't even come and move the car so we can clean the block, and then want to fight you because you're asking them to move their car because they don't want to move their car from in front of their door. We're not neighborly towards one another. We're judgmental of one another. No matter where you move to, it's the same conditions. Now, we may be a little cleaner in some other counties because the county takes responsibility and cleans the streets, because the county takes responsibility and holds you responsible for putting your trash out during certain hours to making sure your property is kept up, because the county does that. The county does that. But just think, if the county didn't do those kind of things, what would be our conditions in the surrounding counties that surround Philadelphia? What would our environments really look like? What if we were permitted to do whatever we wanted to do without county interference? So there always has to be some hand in this to keep order. But the question becomes, why are we keeping any kind of order within ourselves? We are fighting about all the wrong things. Whether the N-word is used or unused. We're fighting over light skin and dark skin. We're fighting over whether I call myself black or African American. We are fighting over all of the wrong things, man. We're fighting and killing over parking spaces. We're fighting and killing each other over sneakers, over garments. And these garment makers don't even give a damn about us. You're concerned with Versace, Gucci, and Coach. What is Versace, Gucci, and Coach doing for the black community? I went to Modell's the other day, and this was on a Thursday, on a Wednesday, at about 11 o'clock, and there were people lined up with chairs and sleeping blankets and everything. And I asked the guy in the store, what's up? What kind of sale y'all got going on? He said, well, it's not a sale. The new Jordans come out tomorrow. They come out tomorrow. I was at Modell's 11 o'clock in the morning. The first person in line got there at 5 o'clock in the morning for something that comes out on the following day. But we have 37 schools closing in the city of Philadelphia. There's no outrage. There's no line. There are no chairs posted up outside the city hall. There are no blankets outside the city hall. Nobody's occupying anything, but you want to occupy the front of Modell's for sneakers. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. There are a lot of conditions that we need to address. But until we begin to understand why these things exist, we will never have any resolve. This black on black crime has to stop. As of December 30th, 2012, there are 500 murders in the city of Chicago. 500. I've lost track of all the killings that have happened in Philadelphia. The murders. I've lost track of all the murders that have happened in Delaware, in Camden. I've lost track. It's disheartening how we continue to live our lives as individuals. This is our problem. This is all of our problem. And we need to stop depending on others to fix this issue, because others have gotten tired of trying to help us too. Others have gotten tired of trying to help us. We're not helping ourselves. When we keep beating up on each other. We don't want to listen to each other. Nobody has an idea unless it comes to me. It's my idea that has to be no. No. We continue to be so judgmental of one another that we can't move forward. We're fighting over the N-word. Like don't mention the N-word. Code Black focuses on a group of people, but we're talking about humanity. We're talking about humanity. We're talking about a people who have still, after all of these years, not risen up to being more than 3/5 of a person to the eyes of many. To many. So we're not getting the short end of the stick. We're holding the damn stick and letting everybody eat off of it. And we wind up with this. We're holding the stick. We have the power. We have the intelligence. We have everything there to take that stick and make sure that we get ours first. But no, we holding it. So we're not getting the short end of the stick because that's what somebody is giving us. We're getting the short end of the stick because we're letting everybody else eat off of that stick. And everybody else is building from what they have eaten off of that stick. We're still standing there holding the stick and complaining about the fact that we have the short end of the stick. What are we changing? We've become so materialistic that nothing else matters. That we're trying to outdo one another with the finest cars, the finest houses, the finest woman, the finest man, the finest jewelry. Everything has to be fine. It doesn't make sense. How do you walk around with $300 pants on when you don't even have $300 in your bank account? There's something wrong with that conditioning. And we're not looking at the origination of this kind of behavior. We're not looking for any resolve to our conditions. We keep wanting to change laws, change gun laws, change school laws, stop closing schools, stop. no matter what school a child goes to. If the school has no books, if the school has to take one book and make copies and pass out sheets to everyone in the class as a means to teach, it shouldn't matter. It's your responsibility. It's my responsibility as a parent to teach our children at home. You want your child to know something about black history? You teach your child about black history. You want your child to excel in math? You learn how to do math, and you sit down and do math with your child. And you do it over and over and over and over again until they are proficient with it, until they master it. You teach mastering at home. The teacher's responsibility is just to follow a curriculum. You teach your child how to master that curriculum. That's your responsibility as a parent. You teach your child about economics. You teach your child about banking. You teach your child that that kind of stuff, and stop thinking that somebody else is going to teach your child that. It's nobody else's responsibility. My mother stayed on my sister and I about how we talked, how we walked, our writing skills, study habits. She taught us about all of those things. If I said ain't in the house, I got slapped in my mouth. I got corrected. We had to write over and over and over again. Over the dotted lines, y'all remember the little dotted lines to, in the book when you were writing, and we had to learn how to write on lined paper. I learned how to write so well that my letters look almost like they were typed. It's our responsibility, man. It's no one else's responsibility. Code Black addresses everything about the black condition, especially for black males, that leads us into addiction, incarceration, criminality, the family court system. I mean, everything, man. Everything. That's what Code Black is about. Code Black is like a reference guide for anyone, not just blacks. Code Black. I want Code Black to be a reference guide, a source of reference, a handbook for understanding the black condition. Code Black paints the entire picture of the black condition. Code Black paints a small picture of the condition for black males. So if anyone picked the book up and began to read, they would begin to see conditions that evolved from slavery into the 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th centuries. You'll be able to see the progression, the evolvement of the very same condition, while you see it just make use of more modern techniques of oppression, more modern techniques of control, more modern techniques of custody, more modern techniques of genocides. You see it if you follow it.